Hello everyone, my name is Eric and welcome to my review of the new game Squad. Squad is in early access on Steam now and it is classified as a military shooter. You can compare it to the likes of Battlefield and Arma. It's a game that aims to bring you the feeling of being immersed into a war scene. It's announced as 50 versus 50. In practice, it is not that. It's more like 30 versus 30, 40 versus 40, I think is almost the maximum. But it is an awesome game. If you're looking for a very unbiased opinion, you've got to the wrong place. I will point out all the mistakes the game makes and the things it still needs to fix. But let's just start off with me saying, I think from the 20 hours I've played it, that it's an amazing game. It does what it sets out to do and it does it well. Now, what is it? What can you expect to get for those 30 quid you put into this game? And the game is in the Steam store. I'll put the link down below. It's 350 Norwegian krone. I believe that's around 30 quid. Or 30 UK or British pounds, I assume would be the correct thing to say. I've played it for 20 hours. And as I can say, the game looks gorgeous. Audio-wise, I want to say it's not at the sound of Battlefield, but the audio is pretty damn good. Now, the game focuses on putting you into a war-like experience, and what it does is it puts you into an experience where you meet a lot of new people, you have a lot of fun, and you play the game as is. Now it has a lot of beautiful music, as you could hear in the start there. I'll turn it down. The game, this review is not about the music, although I like the music. Now let's take a look at the options menu before we start doing anything. So on the game settings, you'll have your standard field of view. Keep in mind that if you go higher than the set 90, you can experience nausea. I like to keep it at 90. You can, slide that a bit if you want. So that's great. Love that they included that. Obviously, the standard mouse settings, aim sensitivity, mouse smoothing, and inverted Y-axis. Now, one thing that they are missing in here that I really noticed. It says aim sensitivity, and if you pick up an M4 rifle with a not with the red dot but with the optic, you zoom in with it, and the zoomed in feature has a different sensitivity. It's lower than this one, and there is no slider to change that. So if you want to up your scoping sensitivity on the optical, you'll have to up your aim sensitivity in general. Just something to keep in mind. So they are missing that one option, but you can sort of work around it because you can use the red dot sight. It doesn't zoom, but it still gives you a red dot instead of the iron sight, and it doesn't reduce your sensitivity. Movement is basically whether or not to toggle things, and UI is tooltips, and I haven't tested the streamer mode, but as you can see, hides UI information from current server. It's so that you can't get jumped on the service and stream sniped. So far settings are good, only missing that one. Graphical settings are the standard ones, lots of resolutions, full screen bullets, and windowed all work. VSync obviously, gamma slider, haven't fiddled around too much with it. Currently running the game on medium myself, not on epic, for just the fact that I need it to be 120 FPS, or I don't feel like it's smooth enough, and my computer is not that good that it can do 120 FPS in this game, because it is a graphically demanding game, because it looks absolutely gorgeous. A lot of settings down here. It is what you expect. It, resolution, scale. Don't quite know what this does, to be completely honest with you. And then it's the AA and view distance, shadows. These are standard settings, but they have all of them, so there's nothing to really say that's negative about these settings whatsoever. Controls, all rebindable. You can even set 2 key bindings to each one. the key bindings you might want to change when you get the game is the ones for local, squad, and command voice. Those are the comms you're going to be using the most. Also, audio settings, there's a good variation here. You have the voice volume, which is all the comms, and then you have the so-called local radio voice. Those are the guys that's near you that speaks, so you can buff that up so you can hear people near you quite good. And then you have master volume, effect volume, UI volume, and music volume. And then they have a certain thing that I absolutely love about this game. When you're in the menu, if you have two monitors, you don't have to lower the game. If you just right click or left click on the other monitor, it lowers the music for you. So let's do a test of this. So here we go. We'll put this up, maybe further so you guys can hear it. Wasn't very much music here, but let's say I put this all the way down to 19. So if I do this, let's find a place where there's music. Obviously there's no music now. Hopefully you can hear that. There's hard to demonstrate, but basically what it does is if you click on the other monitor, it lowers your music. So if you want to remove all the music, you can just, or remove all the volume, you can just scale it all the way down. But yeah, that's about it. That's settings. So let's jump into the game and let's take a look. So first off, what you will most likely experience when you join is that there are a lot of servers. Most of them are actually full. The top 5 or 8 are normally just full, and you'll have to wait until until you get a spot to get in. Now there are a lot of servers, and there's a lot of them that has 0 players, and that is sort of how it's gonna stay for a while. It's in early access. There is not the biggest player base ever. Now, what does this mean to you as a player? Well, let's say you're like me, you like to communicate a lot, and basically you want to speak English. There's a lot of these servers that do not speak English. So let's look at this. This, for example, has high ping, bad to play at. This is German, so no English unless you create a squad that's English. American, high ping, German, French. I mean, and again, you're down at the ping, so you might, and they're also full, most of them. And then if you want to go, for example, for an English one, like let's see, red coats. Oh, no, that's full. And then you go further down to the next one, and that isn't full. Hopefully, you can get in there with 38 ping. So all these servers are almost inaccessible by you. Now, if you can, speak other languages, you're good to go. There are servers like the Rusty and P servers that work perfectly, but they tend to be full almost 24/7. And that's a big thing. I think they could find a better way to separate servers into English and non-English speaking servers in the menus here to make it easier for the player to realize what is actually English speaking servers. Also, you might want to grab a very good look at the ping. If the ping is above 100, 120, you do not want to go onto that server. You do not want to go onto that server. But that's fine. Let's jump in. Let's not play with anyone for the time being. Let's just jump into a random server. Let's see. That has no ping. That's a German server. That's fine. I'm close to Germany. I can play that server. It's fine. So there is no maps that's being shown here. All you see here is the basic keys, and some of these are rebindable. Well, all of them are rebindable. Some of them, even though you rebind them, they'll still show up here. They won't move. So here you guys can see. You press enter to bring up the basic menus, and then apparently this server is glitched because there is no teams. But this is normally what you do. So what you do is you join a team, you create a squad, or you join a squad, which is on the left hand side here. You select your role, and then you open up one of the spawn points. Now I don't really need to jump down because all you guys can see the graphical side of this. This is on medium. On maxed out setting, this looks gorgeous. Even on medium, with high volume, with a good monitor, you will get really immersed into the game. Now, we've talked a lot about the positive things. So what are some of the downsides? Alright, one of the downsides, as I previously mentioned, is a lot of the UK servers, a lot of the English-based servers are full, and if they're not full, then either bad ping or not populated at all. They need to fix that. I think it's a very bad thing for the game in general. Now, another bad thing is menus here. So, if I press enter, no, escape. Let's see, is this one of the... Yeah, this is one of those things where you will have issues. I don't think I can actually leave this server at the moment. So, you have escape, which normally brings up the regular menu. Create a squad. Yeah, this is completely glitched. Alright, but it's fine. Well, we don't need it. Normally you have escape, which brings up just, you know, exit and some settings. Then you have enter, which brings up this, where you can select role, teams, and squads, and also look at the map. But then you have M, that also brings up the map, but you can't join the squads. Now, certain times these will not want to close, and certain times it's made very hard. If I want to bring up enter, which is basically M plus the squad parts, I have to remove from the end and then bring up the map. Now, if I'm in on these and press escape, normally you would get the overlay, but it's behind the map, so you can't actually click some of the buttons that's up here. They will be immersed behind the map, and sometimes none of these will want to close. And keep in mind, if you're down, if you're shot down waiting for a medic to resurrect you, you will probably zoom into the map, figure out, let's say you're lying here, you would say there, and then your squad will be moving up here, and you're like, alright, I want to mark this area on the map because there's enemy there. You mark it, and then you get resurrected, and you're in the heat of the battle, and you can't remove all the menus. And then you sit here going, I want to close something, and you just fucking spamming everything and nothing's working. And then eventually, yeah, here we have one of these things. Okay, so there we go, everything's now working again. Certainly my M and my escape wasn't working at this point. No, my M and enter. So enter brings up the entire menu, and then M is just the map. So are there other things I can sort of put out in this game that does not look good for the game? Well, the price for it, I want to argue, is pretty steep. It is not a full release where it's 50 quid for the game. That's fair enough. But you gotta keep in mind this is early access. So it's 30 quid, which is a lot of money. What do you get for it? That's what people are looking for. You as a consumer, you want to know, what can I get for my 30 quid? Well, if you're into just playing multiplayer and just, playing with other people, and you like drawn out games that can last for 2 hours, then yes, this is a game for you. If you're the guy that wants single player and wants a campaign to play, this is the game for you. It doesn't have a single player, as far as I know. It has a firing range. I believe that's pretty much the extent of it. So let's take a look. So this is where you spawn in normally. You have a team, you create a squad, or you join a squad, you select your role, and then you spawn in. Now this is how the game looks. So this is just the firing range. This is how the game looks. You have the standard, controllers like lean to the side, aim down sight, hold steady aim, which also zooms it in. You can sprint, you can crouch, you can prone, and that's about it when it comes to controls. Not very fancy. In the bottom left of the screen, right here, you will see, if I press the current buttons, there are a different color of voice or a volume icon. So the blue one means you're talking into the local. Green one, you're talking into your squad radio, and then the red one is conserved for the squad leaders and generals that will talk together. So only squad leaders can actually, listen to that. So, how's their shooting? It's pretty damn basic. You right click, you hold. You can switch between, semi-fire and then automatic fire. Are the guns accurate? Do they act similar to what they do in real life? Yes, I want to say they do. Again, certain things are not meant to do everything correctly. But again, back to the point, I just wanted to show you guys how it looks in game. So graphical and audio wise, you're getting a lot for your money. It looks good, audio plays out good, and if you like multiplayer FPSs, this is the game for you. Now, is it a game where you can just jump in and just have a laugh and just play and just piss around? Yes, you can do that. but you're not going to be very liked by your team or your squad if you do it in a manner of where it's not helping your team. If you're just having a laugh while doing the proper things, then go for it. There's a lot of fun in this game. So, at the end of the day, is it worth it? Yes. If you like FPS multiplayer games, it's definitely worth it. If you like tactical shooters, if you like to work as a team, it is most definitely worth it. If you're a person that likes to just run around alone and basically try and get behind enemy lines, again, you can do that. You're not going to be very much liked in the game, but you can do it. There's nothing restricting you from doing it game-wise. The game still has some, awkward pathing here and there, but it's still early alpha, so you gotta, forgive it a bit. And, I mean, it's a great game. It absolutely is a great game. There's, as you can see, the guns act naturally. You can't really tell who's your teammates and your enemies unless you're really close to them, or you see them on the map, or if they talk to you, that way you know. But there's no like indicator clearly that this is your ally. So you need to sort of take a good look, and you'll want to pull the trigger on this guy, and then if not, then you can die to him later, and then if you pull the trigger, then you might kill a teammate. It's a very punishing game. It's a very beautiful, it's a very good game, a very immersive game, and you can have a lot of fun in it. I've played it now for 20 hours the last 4 days, and I absolutely loved the game. Does that mean that it's the best game ever? No, I wouldn't say that. There's definitely other games I like just as much and or more than this, but for the amount of money they're asking and the fact that this is early access, so I am expecting this to become a lot better, I think it's a really good game. Even in the state the game is in right now, which is early alpha, it's still an amazingly good game. I can't wait to see what the developers bring forth in the future of this game, and I can't wait to see the final product whenever it ends up, or wherever it ends up. But for now, it's a great game. If you like FPS shooters, get it. If not, it might not be the game for you. Obviously, it's an FPS game. It's a tactical shooter. It's not a point and click, like Call of Duty or other fun little shooters, arcade shooters. But it's definitely a tactical, FPS, slow pace, good overall shooter, although it is an early alpha. So yeah, get the game if you like those sort of games. Expect there to be flaws here and there. It's early alpha, and then deal with those flaws and play around them, and you'll have a lot of fun. Unbiased opinion, it's definitely worth the 30 quid if you're into these sorts of game. There aren't that much wrong with it. The menus are great, the audio is great, the graphical looks gorgeous if you have the computer to run it. There is nothing from stopping you there's nothing stopping you from experiencing what I would at this point call the ultimate war experience within gaming. That's about all I had for this little review. Again, it's a very biased review, not too unbiased at all. But if you guys want any videos on Squad, whether that will just be gameplay, tutorials, how to play it, whatever you want me to do, if you want any Squad videos at all, I don't have any plans of putting them on the channel. If you want Squad episodes or Squad videos, then make sure that you leave a comment saying so. And if you get the game, feel free to add me. I'll leave my Steam link down below. And I'll see you guys on the battlefield.